Welcome to Facts with AI. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of human genes. Did you know your genes could be why mosquitoes love feasting on you? Or that some people are genetically immune to certain diseases? Buckle up, because we're about to unlock the secrets hidden within our cells. It's true, humans share a whopping 98.8% of their DNA with chimpanzees. But hold on, if we're so genetically similar, why are we so different? That tiny 1.2% difference in our DNA makes a world of difference. It's responsible for everything that distinguishes us as humans, from our ability to walk upright and use language to our complex brains and capacity for abstract thought. Think of it like this. Imagine baking two cakes with almost the exact same ingredients. You add a pinch more salt to one, and a dash more vanilla to the other. The cakes might look very similar, but those tiny variations in the recipe create distinct flavors. So the next time you see a chimpanzee, remember that beneath those furry exteriors lies a genetic blueprint remarkably similar to your own. Inside every single one of your cells lies a complete set of instructions that make you, you. It's your DNA, and it's made up of a mind-boggling 3 billion base pairs. Imagine a library with 3 billion letters, all meticulously organized into volumes that dictate everything from your hair color to your height. These base pairs, often represented by the letters A, T, C, and G, are the building blocks of your genetic code. They pair up in specific ways, A with T and C with G forming the rungs of the iconic DNA double helix ladder. But here's the kicker, within this vast genetic library, only a tiny fraction of your DNA actually provides instructions for building proteins, the workhorses of your cells. So, while the protein coding regions of our DNA get a lot of attention, it's the entire 3 billion base pair symphony, including those mysterious, non-coding sections, that truly makes us unique. For a long time, scientists thought that the majority of our DNA was just useless junk leftovers from our evolutionary past. But boy, were we wrong. It turns out that only about 1 to 2% of our DNA actually codes for proteins. That means the vast majority of our genome, the other 98 to 99%, is non-coding DNA. So what does all this non-coding DNA actually do? Well, we're still figuring that out, but we know it plays a crucial role in regulating gene expression. Think of it like a complex control panel with switches and dials that determine when, where, and how much of a particular protein is produced. This non-coding DNA acts like an orchestra conductor, ensuring that the right genes are expressed at the right time and in the right cells. Without it, our genes would be playing a chaotic and uncoordinated symphony. Researchers are still working tirelessly to decode the mysteries of non-coding DNA. So while it might seem strange that such a large portion of our DNA doesn't directly code for proteins, it's becoming increasingly clear that this junk DNA is anything but junk. We humans like to think we're pretty complex creatures, right? And with good reason. But when it comes to the number of genes we possess, we might be surprised to learn that we fall somewhere in the middle of the pack. Humans have an estimated 20,000 to 25,000 genes. That's certainly a lot of genetic information, but it's dwarfed by the astonishing 30,000 genes found in a humble water flea. On the other hand, we outdo simpler organisms like the nematode worm, which gets by with a mere 19,000 genes. So what does this tell us? It turns out that the complexity of an organism isn't solely determined by the number of genes it has. It's more about how those genes are regulated and expressed, as well as the intricate interactions between genes and the environment. Think of it like this. Having a large vocabulary doesn't automatically make you a great writer. Similarly, the interplay of our genes, along with environmental factors, shapes who we are. Ever noticed how some people seem to be mosquito magnets while others escape their bites? It's not just bad luck. Your genes are actually partly to blame. Believe it or not, there are specific genes that can influence your likelihood of being bitten by mosquitoes. These genes control various factors that attract those pesky insects, including your body odor, the carbon dioxide you exhale, and even the bacteria living on your skin. For example, some people have gene variants that produce certain chemicals in their sweat that mosquitoes find irresistible. It's like wearing a sign that says, "All you can eat buffet over here." Other genes influence your metabolic rate, which affects the amount of carbon dioxide you exhale. So, The next time you're swatting away mosquitoes while your friend remains bite-free, remember that it might not be your imagination. It could be those tiny variations in your DNA at play. And hey, maybe invest in some extra-strength bug spray just in case. In a remarkable twist of genetic fate, some individuals possess a rare mutation that makes them practically immune to HIV. It's called the CCR5-delta-32 mutation, and it involves a small deletion in a gene that codes for a protein found on the surface of white blood cells. HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, typically uses this CCR5 protein as a doorway to infect immune cells. But individuals with the CCR5-delta-32 mutation have a shortened version of the protein that HIV can't latch onto effectively. It's like changing the locks on your front door, leaving the virus stranded outside, unable to cause an infection. This mutation is more common in certain populations, particularly those of Northern European descent. While the CCR5-delta-32 mutation offers remarkable protection against HIV, it's essential to remember that it's not a foolproof shield. Nevertheless, the discovery of this mutation has been a beacon of hope in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Remember those simplified Punnett squares from high school biology class, where a single gene determined if you'd have blue eyes or brown eyes? Well, it turns out that eye color is way more complicated than that. While it's true that eye color is a heritable trait, it's not controlled by just one gene, but by a complex interplay of multiple genes. In fact, scientists have identified over 150 genes that can influence eye color to some degree. These genes control the production, transport, and distribution of melanin, the pigment that gives our eyes their color. Variations in these genes can lead to a wide spectrum of eye colors, from deep browns and hazels to vibrant greens and blues. So, if you've ever wondered how two brown-eyed parents could have a blue-eyed child, it's because they carry recessive genes for other eye colors that can be passed down to their offspring. The inheritance of eye color is a fascinating example of polygenic inheritance, where multiple genes contribute to a single trait. Ever wondered why some people can't get enough of broccoli while others recoil at its mere sight? Well, your genes might hold the answer. There's a specific gene known as TAS2R38 that plays a significant role in our ability to taste bitterness. This gene comes in different variants, and some people inherit versions that make them highly sensitive to bitter compounds, like those found in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and other cruciferous vegetables. These supertasters experience bitterness more intensely, which can make these healthy foods taste overwhelmingly bitter and unappetizing. On the other hand, individuals with different variants of the TS2R38 gene might not perceive bitterness as strongly, making those same vegetables more palatable. So if you're someone who loves their greens, you can thank your genes. But if you'd rather pass on the broccoli, there's no shame in that. The next time you sit down for a meal, take a moment to appreciate the complex interplay of genes and sensory perception that allows us to experience the world of flavors. When we hear the word mutation, we often think of genetic disorders and diseases. But here's a surprising fact: not all mutations are bad. In fact, some genetic mutations can actually be beneficial, providing individuals with advantages in certain environments. Take, for example, the mutation that leads to lactose persistence, the ability to digest milk sugar into adulthood. This mutation arose thousands of years ago in populations that domesticated cattle and relied on milk as a food source. Individuals with this mutation were able to obtain valuable nutrients from milk, giving them a survival advantage in times of famine or food scarcity. Over time, this beneficial mutation spread throughout these populations, becoming more common. These examples highlight the dynamic nature of our genomes and how mutations, while often associated with negative consequences, can also be a driving force behind evolution and adaptation. Identical twins, those genetic duplicates who share the same DNA, often leave us astounded by their remarkable similarities. But here's a fascinating twist: even identical twins have unique fingerprints. How is this possible if they share the same genetic blueprint? Well, it turns out that while our genes provide the basic instructions for fingerprint patterns, environmental factors also play a significant role in their development. During pregnancy, factors like the position of the fetus in the womb, the pressure on their tiny fingers, and even the composition of the amniotic fluid can influence the formation of those unique ridges and whorls on their fingertips. It's like baking two identical cakes in slightly different ovens. So, while identical twins share the same DNA, their fingerprints, like their individual personalities and life experiences, are shaped by a complex interplay of nature and nurture. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these strange facts about human genes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating content from Facts with AI.